Selamat pagi and good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our Power Breakfast session this morning, brought to you by TM1. My name is Frida Liu, and I'll be your host this morning. And TM1 has specially prepared a tiffin breakfast for you to be delivered to your door. Hope you have received them and are enjoying the delicious breakfast. Now, the past 1.5 years have been tumultuous, and the pandemic and economic crisis continue to foster unprecedented levels of uncertainty worldwide. But every crisis brings with it opportunities, and we have seen our industry leaders coming together to transform the ecosystem, ensuring business and economic continuity. So before we begin our agenda, if you want to learn how you can achieve analytic success, scan the QR code and download the Malaysian Leaders Guide to becoming a data-driven organization. Let's begin, though, by watching this video about Alpha Edge. Now, to get the show on the road, it now gives me great pleasure to invite engineer professional technologist Azizi bin Hadi, Chief Operating Officer, TM Commercial and Technology, Telekom Malaysia Berhad. He has more than 30 years of experience in the telecommunications industry, which includes engineering, operations, sales, product development, and management in both fixed and mobile industry, and he'll be sharing TM's experience on migration, a fundamental aspect for a successful adoption of cloud. Good morning, Azizi.
Good morning, Frida.
I have to ask a very important Malaysian question. Have you been powered by breakfast?
Of course, I always have my breakfast very early at about 6:30, 6:45 every morning.
All right, so I'm sure you have the energy, and now the stage is all yours.
Thanks, Frida. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very good morning to everyone. Tan Sri, Dato, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to be here this morning to join you virtually. And first and foremost, I would like to welcome every one of you on behalf of Telekom Malaysia and also TM1 to our event this morning. So to start with, we heard about the announcement by the government early of this year about My Digital. My Digital actually to spur the digital transformation amongst the public sector and also enterprises in Malaysia. And there are 4 components of Digital Malaysia. The first one is about submarine cable, and Telekom Malaysia is operating more than 40 cable system domestically and globally. The second one is Jendela, and Telekom Malaysia is playing a major role in fiberizing the premises in Malaysia. And for the phase 1 of Jendela, the target actually to fiberize 7.5 million premises, and Telekom Malaysia is playing a major role in this fiberization. The third one is rollout of 5G network, and Telekom Malaysia will be one of the service providers offering the traditional mobile broadband service, and also the new what we call vertical solution for our enterprise and government customers. And fourthly, this is the one that I'll be spending the next few minutes sharing with you, is the cloud service provider. And there are 4 cloud or CSPs that have been nominated by the government, and we are proud to be the one and only Malaysian service provider for cloud. And if you look at the chart, this is what we have prepared, or we'll be preparing for the last few years. The first one is actually on getting the digital connectivity for the public, the enterprise, and also for the citizen. This includes the fiber and also the wireless connectivity. The second part is actually the digital infrastructure. This is actually to enable the one at the top, all these vertical industries to transform themselves digitally. And what is important for today's discussion is actually the Cloud Alpha, or well, internally we call it Cloud Alpha Age. And this is actually in collaboration of partners to make it happen. And this Cloud Alpha comes with cybersecurity to ensure that whatever we are offering, whatever being used by our customers are really secure. And talking about cloud, cloud actually offers a lot of advantages and also benefits. And Freda just now talking about the pandemic that we are facing today. And we all know that the country now is moving from pandemic to endemic. And organizations need to transform because the demands, the needs, and the way we work today are changing. And we are seeing this even in Telecom Malaysia. And we're also taking advantage of this digital transformation using various technologies available out there actually to improve our productivity. And this technology provides rapid innovation when we put them on the cloud, that we should take advantage of this technology. And this technology actually enable organization, regardless of their size, to meet their customers' demand and to become competitive in the marketplace. And cloud also offers a lot of benefits that you can see at the bottom part of the slide. Among them are agility. Cost is important for us to be competitive, and it's flexible, it's scalable, and it offers a lot of innovation, improvement of the way we work, the way we serve our customers, and importantly, to achieve the optimal customer experience. And organization can be competitive in the market. And at TM1, on the top of the benefit that you've seen in the previous slide, we actually can enable organization in Malaysia to be data sovereignty compliant by ensuring that your data is kept within Malaysia securely. And we also have the connectivity excellence through our network, fixed, fiber, and also wireless, to connect you to wherever you are, either in Malaysia or outside Malaysia. And we also have the services, and part of our value proposition is actually the end-to-end security solution through Syed that protect your data, whether you house in our cloud or on-prem. And the offer also comes with professional services capabilities. We can start with design thinking. Our team can sit with you, review whatever you have today and agree on what it needs to enable you. And later, our engineers can provide you with the technology consulting service, the migration, and so on. I think to stay competitive in terms of serving our customer, we not only offer lowest TCO or total cost of ownership, but the cost, it can be easily managed because we can scale your requirement, and the charge is based on what you use. And it is in local denomination, Ringgit Malaysia. And importantly, this platform is flexible and scalable to meet your requirement. And to end this short session this morning, sharing session, I would like to share with you what we have done for our customers. There are two customers that I would like to share today because this information is public. The first one is Honor. Honor is a mobile phone manufacturer and seller. Honor is a global device provider, and through its local company, Honor Malaysia, they have nominated Telekom Malaysia to TM1 to be their public cloud provider. And they are operating globally, and the facility in Malaysia actually to cater for their operation in this region, Asia, in Africa, and also South America. And look at the scale. They have more than 3,000 service centers, more than 2,000 call centers, 8,000 employees globally. And for these three regions, their data center or their data are being stored out of Malaysia. And this is also enabled by our digital submarine cable that we have, and I mentioned just now. And why they pick us? Because we offer them flexibility, scalability to meet their requirement, and because of our global presence through our submarine cable. The second customer that I would like to share is our Ministry of Education. This is actually for the SPM result announcement. We had more than 400,000 candidates last year set for the exam, and we sat with MOE, come up with requirement from architecture, from the setting up of the cloud environment, and anticipating the load that we'll get, and also the performance that we require. And it comes with security, because we don't want any party to tamper this result. And we were able actually to meet the traffic, 13.2 million total queries from 10 a.m. when they started to announce the result until 8 p.m. And at peak hour, we were supporting and doing 8.3 million queries. So this is an achievement because we knew prior to this result announcement, there was a fiasco about registration for the vaccination. So we are able actually to do this, and why Ministry of Education work with us because of the speed of deployment, high performance, and also it is scalable. So this is about real customers that we are serving today. I mean, this is just an example. We do have more than just these two customers that I shared today. And to conclude, I mean, feel free to look for information at the social media site, and also reach out to our account executive to discuss your requirement. So with that, thank you very much, and I would like to hand over the floor back to Freda. Back to you, Freda.
Thank you, Azizi, for that presentation. It's very interesting to see these real-life customer stories and how they're successful, not only in Malaysia, but also globally. Now we're going to continue with this video about Syed.
Cyber attacks. It is a complex crime by invisible enemies. It destroys your brand's reputation, causes massive financial losses, and ultimately creates distrust in a company's digital infrastructure. To prevent this, cyber resilience and active cyber defense is essential to predict, prevent, detect, and respond to cyber threats. The question is, will your organization be prepared to handle such cyber threats effectively? And if it is it protected by global standard compliance and recognized regulatory requirements? What we need is digital trust. Trust. It's what we build our Cyber Defense Center around. It's confidentiality. It's integrity. It's availability. Integrity. It's centered in our global seesaw. It's giving you peace of mind. And it meets all your cybersecurity needs. As the region's trusted managed security services provider, we protect your organization by conducting end-to-end managed solutions, from cyber risk assessment to cyber risk mitigation, and the power to control it all. So focus on what you do best. Build your business, transform your organization, and trust us to keep it secure from cyber attacks. TM1 Cyber, the digital trust for cyber resilience.
Up next, we are very honored to have with us Tan Sri Dato Sri Haji Syed Zainal Abidin Syed Mohamad Tahir, Group Managing Director, Dagang NeXchange Berhad, to share with us on the journey thus far and the journey ahead. Good morning, Tan Sri.
Hi, morning, Freda. How are you?
I'm good. I hope you're doing well as well.
Yeah, I'm okay. Alhamdulillah. Thank you. Thank you for having me this morning.
All right, you're looking sharp as ever, and I'm sure you've got lots to share with us this morning. And I guess just before you begin, for those who are joining us today, do turn on your screen so Tan Sri knows who he's talking to. And of course, I'm sure you'll be sharing about the journey so far. It's been a troubling 2 years, and also the journey ahead. So I guess they're also working out your sound, but in the meantime, I'm going to hand over the stage to you.
First, I just want to talk about the challenges that all of us are facing. One of the things that I realized, when the pandemic came, it really affected our daily work in a way that we've never seen before. I remember I was working in Petronas at the point of time as the Vice President of Downstream Marketing. My role and my position in Petronas was handling the overall operation in Petronas Dagang. And we have about 1,200 stations. I was also managing the operation in South Africa, where we have about 1,200 stations, and the global lubricant business. So my daily routine, suddenly become very disrupted. Not be able to communicate to my dealers, going onto the ground. Information are very sketchy. Our operation in South Africa were disrupted, where the supply chain have been affected. And you imagine also the lubricant business, we have plants, operating in India and China and Europe and South America. We couldn't even deliver products to our customers, our OEM, the car manufacturers like BMW, Mercedes, and so on. So, when things like this happen, it kind of put everything in chaos. when meetings are not able to be conducted, particularly, when we are talking about people who are, some of you are in sales and marketing, where you used to go and engage, do your customer engagement, that also been interrupted. When people, some of you who have assets in the ground production, where the government, imposed what we call restriction in people going to the factories, trucks and, suppliers are not able to deliver raw materials, and we're not able to deliver finished product. I mean, all our activities, it's basically come to a standstill. I remember one time when we talked about the retail business in Malaysia, for example, in Petronas Dagang at a point of time, the volume at the station went down to as much as 85 to 90%. So can you imagine, for the period of 3 months, none of our dealers are selling their product, the entire supply chain has been disrupted. When there's no demand in the front end, cars doesn't move on the road, station doesn't sell, fuel, then it goes all the way up to the back end to the refinery. So we had to even shut down the refinery. So can you imagine, companies as big as Petronas, where the entire ecosystems have been affected, thousands of workers have been impacted, and not to talk about the technical, maintenance that has to be done in the refinery is massive, both in Malacca, in Terengganu, and also around. So, so daily lives have been affected. Either you are in the small, in the small enterprise, whether you are in the multinational, GSC, and so on and so forth. Now, when the business is affected, obviously one of the other challenges is about our financials. I mean, all of us are, having to deal with, severe financial constraint, where we see decline our revenue, income streams have been affected, in a way that we have never seen before. And if you remember, in last year, when I was in Petronas, the price of crude went down from a high of 80 to about $22 to $23 a barrel. And then as you were, trying to, what we call phantom that, big, drop in the crude oil, then COVID-19 comes about. So it's almost like a double whammy to companies in the oil and gas sector. So the effect to the financial was really, tremendous. So we had issues in terms of our cash flow, managing when suppliers are not able to pay, our inventory are stuck globally, our crude are stuck in the vessel, our products are stuck in tanks in the refinery, and that really affects. And more importantly, it also affects our partners. Dealers across the country are knocking on our doors on a daily basis, asking us to give them credit, asking them not to charge them rental, commission, and so on and so forth. And I think this, has really taught us a very, powerful lesson that we always have to be prepared for a rainy day. Now, the other thing that's been very challenging, and today, even as we speak, things are still very evolving, is understanding the market changes. Just like, most of you and me, we are in the service industry. In the service industry, our really focus is providing service to our customers. So as we speak, the consumer behavior is also changing. So can you imagine, particularly if you want the retail business, today the behavior pattern before pre-COVID, we positioned our planning and our product portfolio, our marketing strategy based on certain understanding and assumption. Suddenly, overnight, all that hypothesis and assumptions just gone up to the window. We now have to really sit down and go to the drawing blocks to understand really what is the new consumer behavior under the new normal. And this not only affected the people in industry, it even affected people in the university, for example. At the point of time, I was the chairman of the UITM, where we had about 160,000 students nationwide. Can you imagine suddenly students cannot come to the university, yet the curriculum and the education program need to continue. Some of them have access to internet, some of them don't even have access to internet, but they don't even have a device. Because we are, what we call, students of about 45 to 60, 50% are people from the B40. Not only we are handling, managing the student, we also having our lecturers who are struggling to adopt to a new way of teaching. So we need to have a program, create a new platform for them to load their content, and to change the pedagogy of teaching. And that is a real challenge, So when the market dynamics change, it's about, really, telling the organization to reset our thinking. the new and the old business model, the old hypothesis will not, is not valid anymore. So, and that is the problem, is that the market is continuing to change even as we speak today. So this is a continuous challenge to any organization and people and we are the next is also having, going to the same phase. The next part is about the challenge is about communication. Now, I'm a very traditional person, guys. Of course, today we are more, in tune into like what we're doing today, virtually meetings, Zoom meeting, Teams meeting, Google meeting, macam ada kan. But I'm traditional. Sometimes I still like to go and engage face to face. I want to look at my customer, eyeball them, look at them in the eyes, see the facial expression. And today, it's kind of odd talking to 37 distinguished leaders, but yet I only see bubble and icon on the screen. So, but that's the reality. So I think the challenge today is how to adapt. And I believe this, this will be the new norm, and this, kind of communication, I think will be, something that we need to live with. But it is not ideal. And I will, in an industry where, engaging and answering, understanding the customer pain point, I think is very key. We want to sit down in the meeting room, have a white drawing board, start brainstorming, and so on and so forth. That I think we still can do, with new software available in the market. But nothing beats to me, this personal contact. And that's been disrupted. And I'm not sure whether we can go back to normal before. Now, the other thing that's been affected, and that's something related, and the challenge that we had to face in DNEC is the trade facilitation. Suddenly, trade still want to thrive. People still want to import, and people want to export. But suddenly, the office boy are not able to submit documentation to the customer anymore. They cannot go to the banks to make the payment. They cannot do this, with their freight forwarders. And that's where we need to then, from a company perspective, DNEX will then have to come and rise to the occasion and provide what we call the digital solution. So that's, just a little bit, from me in terms of some of the challenges that we had to face. And I think some of you are probably facing the same thing. Now, the next question, the one we have, been to this challenge, is how to overcome it, the kind of leadership. And this is something that I want to share a little bit, because I believe you are C-suite, audience. You have your own style of leadership, but I just want to share my humble experience. I think, when part of the last 18 months, we went to the one stage of what we call responding to the crisis. Then we are gone to a stage of recovery, trying to recover from the pandemic. And now we are in a stage of what we call thriving the business and time to growing the business. So when you are in the stage of responding, and what happens in responding, that was about a year ago, crises are, happening, decision has to make. So the kind of leadership skill that's required at this point in time is to be very decisive. And I see some people are struggling because they just, it's not an environment that they used to. But I, like as you can appreciate, being indecisive is the worst thing that can happen. So whether you like it or not, as a leader in the organization, you need to decide. Right or wrong, it's a road that, is, what we call uncharted territories for everybody. We don't have the right template, that we have lessons in the years in the past to guide us to make the right decision. But we are, guided and trained to make decisions based on facts, based on the parameter that's given to us, based on our understanding of the situation. But the more important thing is, we need to decide. Second, I think one of the key things about leaders in this area of recovery or responding is about being engaging. Because people say, I cannot go down to the ground. We need to find ways to engage. When I was in Petronas, even at my office on the 77th floor, I engaged round the clock. In people in Petronas Dagangan is day to day, talking to dealers in the north, in the south, in the east, Sabah, Sarawak, our commercial, and talking to our supply chain, our hauliers, and so on, trying to understand the pain point on that. Come evening, and then you go and change, midday, you talk to people in South Africa. You talk to, my counterpart there, talking about how's the refinery in Durban, how the 1,200 stations have been managing, talking to pockets of dealers, in Cape Town, in Johannesburg, and so on and so forth. Nighttime was my turn to talk to people in Europe and South America. Our plant, in Europe, in Turin, in Spain, and in Brazil, managing and also the operation in Detroit in the US. So can you imagine, the amount of engagement that you need to do. So we don't have a choice, in crisis, you cannot say, oh, I don't want to engage, I'm just tired. So it's around the clock, and engaging is not just about, talking. You have to just stop, focus, and also pay attention in terms of the issues at hand, because each situation has this different, skill set or solution that needs to be done. So that's one part. The other one, as you also, I hear this, many times, in the crisis, people are, mentally stressed. Some people risk their lives, going to the plant. I remember when the peak in China, we have a factory in Zhejiang province. We had to, plead and, make sure that the plant is safe for people to come and risk their life in the COVID-19 when the peak was in China. The kind of precaution that we take, then I had to go to do a town hall, of course, with an interpreter to talk to these people to say the amount of sacrifice. So when we are dealing with this kind of crisis, you need to lead and manage with empathy. You need to care about people. And I always call people, I would text my people and the first thing that I do, is like, how are you? Are you safe? Make sure that you provide adequate safety. I think that's very, very critical. So providing empathy is very important in that, in response. And of course, in the responding mode, you need also to be focused. Now, when you've passed the response, it's now about recovery. Recovery is managing the crisis now, putting things back in place. So one of the things that's very important when you are in this is to have leaders that's very hands-on. You cannot be sitting on your office and then in an aircon room and say, do this, do that, buat ini, bagi arahan. But you have to go to the ground because, you can imagine the people on the ground. I mean, they are grasping with facets of, issues in their life, personal life, professional work. So you need to then go, and go down to the ground and, give them instruction. At the same time, guide them what needs to be done. Give them the right motivation to do. I think being hands-on, is very important. Then you also need to be able to communicate. You also need to be disruptive, and guide. That's during the recovery period. But now, when we are now setting what new direction, it requires now a different set of leadership. Today, we want leaders to be a little bit more disruptive, disrupt the organization in the way that never been disrupted before, challenging challenging the barriers, and the expectation that the people can deliver. Number two, we want people to be visionary, looking what's up ahead, what's a new horizon, and need to reinvent themselves. Companies today cannot be business as usual anymore. I mean, whether you are multinational, whether you're in the IT sector, or whether you're in the service industry, people like this. And finally, you want you to be innovative. In innovative in terms of providing solutions. So to me, ladies and gentlemen, in that, in overcoming the challenges, this is, in my view, some of the leadership skill that I think we need to do. I'm not an expert, but I'm just sharing to you some of my experience. Now, the next part of my, talk this morning is about the DNEX story. I came in the peak of the pandemic, somewhere in October last year. Because I finished my stint in Petronas after my contract. Sat down around for a couple of months. Then I came in, and the mandate was given to me was turn around the organization, improve the turnover, the share market, and set a new direction. So, 1 year has passed. We came from a revenue of about 400 million, ringgit. Now we're looking at a revenue about 1.6 billion for this year, inshallah. We came to a share price of about 20 cents. Now our share price is about 80 cents, and peak was about a ringgit. And our portfolio and our customers have changed. So I think, when we are facing this, most of you have done in your organization in a transformative mode, I need to take the hard step of restructuring the company. First fundamental rule for restructuring is to make sure that we have the right organization. So I set the organization in place. For the need of the future. And one, I set the structure. Then, of course, the next step, daunting task is to make sure that we get the right people. So, it took time for me to get the right team in the organization. Alhamdulillah, today, I think we believe we have the right skill set, to take technology, to take and execute our plan. So next thing that I did was trying to reprioritize, what is going to be our future. So there would then be casualties. There is a divestment that we need to do. So we have, extracted ourselves in some of the business that we don't want, that's been losing. Then we want to then make the big giant step to go into what we call new areas of growth. One of it, of course, as you all aware, is the acquisition of Cetera. A very exciting, the timing is very right for NeXchange when we acquire Cetera today. The overall demand in the semiconductor industry is very bullish. Demand is exceeding supply. I just came back from Cetera, from Kulim. I spend there every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday for the last month and a half. We are very excited about the growth area. We had to turn down customers. I'm also even excited about the technology roadmap. And you'd be surprised one day. Maybe we'll collaborate and talk to some of you and bring you to Cetera. I'm very impressed with what we have. So the timing for NeXchange in acquiring Cetera was very good. So we are now investing in the future. And of course, we just recently completed the acquisition of another, from a 30% shareholder to a 90% shareholder of Pink Petroleum. Now the price of crude about 78 to 79, the 3-year high. Obviously, it's good for us. But we also know that the oil and gas is a very cyclical business. So as we stay, focus on our core business, trade facilitation, my task was set the new frontiers for NeXchange, the company. So I think that has been done. And today is, now that we have the right structure, we have the right people, we have the very clear direction. The more difficult thing to do is to have the focus and discipline and to focus on execution. And it's always, as you all, in leaders in your organization, it's always not about plan. It's always about execution. So a lot of my time now, I spend on managing the people, making sure that they have the right skill set, making sure that they have the right motivation, making sure that they have the right processes and tools to do this. And one of the things that I realized, which is going to be very fundamental in getting me to where we want to go, apart from the great plans, apart from clear financial and process, is about going into the space of digital transformation. I am, for one, not a very technical person. I'm a civil engineer by profession, but definitely in my years, over the last couple of years, when I was in Petronas driving the retail transformation, in the Petronas Dagang, I'm sure some of you have seen, we have, invested a lot of, in digital infrastructure. Our motto at that time was, in providing what we call a seamless and frictionless customer experience. So when people go to the pump, we want the friction, we want the experience to be, seamless. And from the pump going over to the Mistral station. So a lot of what we call digital initiative and, services have been provided. And of course, you've seen when we launched this first, online, what we call app called Settle, that you can just order, communicate to the pump without even having to come out with your credit card, or because you can pay to your phone. So, so the NeXchange story is now not say completed. We are clear what we want to do. We have a diverse portfolio today, but we still never forget our roots in trade facilitation. Our motto is to reduce the cost of doing business and to make work more efficient. And I think that is, something that, I'm very focused on within the years since, doing, and we are quite excited. With Cetera on board, I believe that's, not only about producing wafer, we are now exploring how to go further downstream in areas of life science, in areas of 5G, in areas of automotive, autonomous vehicle and electric vehicle. We can work with sensors, with, what we call with instrument panel manufacturers, with headlamp manufacturers, and so on and so forth. So that's something that we do. Now, finally, I've got about maybe 4 or 5 minutes left. Because it wouldn't be right to be in the TM1 power because not to talk about digital transformation. Now, today, whether we like it or not, digital, it becomes part of our daily life. I don't want to say much. If I look at my household themselves, my kids today, they are now doing all their, 2 of my kids are still going to university. They're doing their classes online, and engaging them online. So I need to make sure that, I give them the right workstation, the right tools to make sure that they have the right equipment to go to their classes, to do research, and so on and so forth. And now my wife also now, we used to go to the groceries, she used to order to go to retail. Now we don't. But that doesn't mean that she's, we stop shopping. Now we go, everything's online, I mean, I'm amazed with the apps that's available on the phone, the kind of order that you feel on the line, and the kind of order, and every, hour, an hour and a half, delivery will come to down and see what's happening. I mean, we don't go to malls anymore, but that's the way it is. And that's the life going on, and I don't think that's going to change. Now we are so comfortable staying home and just go to the internet and order what we want, whether it's clothes, whether it's device, and so on and so forth. And even my granddaughter is saying that, Grandpa, this is what we want. So people are so used to it already. So, but that's the lifestyle. So when we acknowledge the fact that the reality is things are going to change, I think this digital transformation journey becomes very important. Now, Tadi Azizi talked about what TM1 is doing in terms of my digital roadmap. I think for people like Dagang, we want to do. But I just want to touch a few elements of this digital transformation. Number one, this issue about data analytics and data, and capability, I think is very important. And I think, every company must invest in this, and every leader must have what we call a much more, data conversation. When we have management meeting, even Dagang today in the net, we want to make decisions based on data, rather than just have a, management meeting. I'm sure some of you have already done, but I'm trying to push the organization to do this. Number two, we also need to talk about artificial intelligence and IoT. I remember when I was in Petronas Dagang, when people cannot go to the site, cannot go to the station, manning. So we had a pilot program that we want to have what we call manless station. People go to the station, there's no manning. This means everything is using artificial intelligence. In fact, we work with Huawei to do a pilot program because I left before, able to roll out. But that's already the thinking, using artificial intelligence, IoT to even do a business. And today, people in the plant, in the gas processing and in the petrochemical plant are doing maintenance using drone. You don't have people going down to look at things anymore. Drone is the one that's monitoring and do the sensing and to do the inspection of the plant because it's too big, because people doesn't want to go out anymore. So, technology has, because of COVID, it drives people to change. SAP is also here. People want to go to a cloud environment, and it's unfortunate. People that selling hardware, perhaps they have a look at a different model. And not only people want to go to a cloud, people want to go to a different business model, only pay as you use. In Petronas, the big spender in IT, doesn't want to spend in IT anymore. To them, I only pay when I use it. So not only that we're talking about the architecture change, but the business model of this technology and digital also have changed. Now, of course, with all this 5G and connectivity, just like what Azizi was saying, it really then, offers really limited choice. So, but the question is today, people like you who probably have the capacity and resource, we can go into this digital transformation. But the problem is we going to digital and leave the rest of the SME is not going to do us any justice. So we need to make sure that the entire community have access to what is digital transformation. And that's why you and me, people like us, have a very important to play. Provide that facilitation, provide that platform, provide solution so that people can make it, people can get access to it. It becomes more affordable and efficient. Then finally, of course, when we have all this, big IT infrastructure, we also have to be mindful about cybersecurity. I'm always very concerned about, people hacking into the solution, getting back to our database, especially when we operate the national single window that, millions of data is in our system. And when people penetrate, people can then look at what are the trade that goes through between Malaysia and Singapore, Malaysia and Thailand, and go to granularity. People like IEC, we operate the accounting system for the government of Malaysia. Can you imagine if this, so our job is to protect this ecosystem. Some of it we work ourselves, some of it partner. And lastly, one of the challenges when we talk about digital transformation, is about talent. I always get worried, when I get higher talent, then suddenly I see this attrition people. Because why? People go to this multinational, people go to the other competitor, and so on and so forth. But that's the reality. So as we attract talent, I think us as leaders, we also have to know how to manage and retain our talent. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think, I've come to close about 10 minutes. I don't want to go beyond. So I just want to recap my KPI today. Number one is about, sharing with you the challenges that we all are facing, in my perspective, in this, 18 months of COVID pandemic. And now it's now becoming an endemic. Second is talking about the kind of leadership that you need to do in order for you to go to several phases of the COVID-19, from response to recovery and to thriving. And each different phases require different leadership skills. Then, of course, thirdly, I wanted to share a little bit about, to give you a glimpse about what DNeX is doing, the transformation of a plan. I mean, I'm sure you probably have read the news. It's a very exciting journey for me. I want to bring value to my shareholders. I'm quite a very focused person, but my only challenge today is about execution. And finally, I just want to share with you about this, what we call this technology transformation. And, I hope, I've seen the audience. I really want to collaborate. I am really, in strong advocate of collaboration. TM1, I think, is a very strong company, and we are also collaborating with them. There are also, people in this group, the banking institution, the people like SAP, Huawei technology. So to one extent, we are competitors, but to some extent and to a degree, for the sake of the nation, I think we all need to collaborate in ways that we have never seen before. And I think once the collaborative model has been done, then this journey about digitalization and providing the right solution to our customer, I think will be much better. So I will end here. I will ask, been asked to perhaps, is there any question that out there that anybody want to ask? Maybe in the next 5 minutes.
Thank you, Tan Sri, for your sharing. I like your point about connection and empathy and all that. And this is also where we request all our customers to please switch on your camera so that Tan Sri can connect with you and you can connect with Tan Sri. So we'd appreciate if you could do that. I know some of you may still be in your pajamas. It's okay. So we like to have that interaction.
Talk to people kalau tak nampak muka.
Yeah, exactly. So, we like, I think this is a very important point that you made, Tan Sri, right? The ability to connect. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. So if you have any questions, please remember to state your name. I think it's there, your company and your question. And of course, obviously, when he talks to you, he'll be able to see your face. Now, and of course, please raise your hand. I think there's an ability to do that on the system, to raise your hand, and we'll get to your question in just a moment. But as before that, I think I just want to start off. I've got a question, Tan Sri. As a private sector of various businesses, how have DNeX assisted companies and organizations in transforming their businesses?
What was the question again?
How have DNeX assisted companies and organizations in transforming their businesses?
Yeah, very good question, Freda. During the crisis, let's take an example of the national single window. We provide trade facilitation solution to our customers. So during the difficult time, it was unprecedented. People just couldn't, facilitate trade because movement are restricted and so on and so on. So what we did, we spent a lot of time in engaging our customer. For example, in terms of document exchange. Suddenly, when people want to export, they cannot, send the documents anymore to the ports in Shanghai, the ports in Indonesia, and so on and so forth. So we came out with what we call the EPCO, which is an online digital document exchange platform. So when you have a bill of lading, you have your, origin certificate of origin, you just put it on the website on our platform. Then the custom in Singapore, the custom in China, and the port that subscribe can now access to that without having to send the hard copy anymore. And that is been done like. So that then, create that efficiency in for our customer who were struggling to do this before. And then it also saved them costs. So that's one particular example. Then we now connect all this within custom and all the other agencies. Because remember before, we have to go to the custom, then you have to go to MITI, you have to go to Ministry of Agriculture to do all this, what we call validation of certificate and permit. Today, everything can be done online, and you don't have to go to one ministry. It can be done on one of, within our portal, NSW themselves. So, that's how we communicate. And even as we speak, Freda, we still are engaging with the government today. We just had a session with our colleagues in Sabah and Sarawak. They also have their pain point. We also have our session with people in Shirim, because today people want to get certification of their product, also difficult. So as we evolve ourselves, my motto is very clear. Every pain point that customer becomes our mandate to try to solve. So we want to be a real business partner, and Freda, in rule number one, the customer Rule number one, the customer is always right. Rule number two is the customer is wrong, refer to rule number one. So whatever you say, the customer is always wrong anyway. So I'm very focused on listening to the customer. So I always see in every adversity is always an opportunity to learn. Of course, at the end of the day, we want to make money, Freda. I mean, make no mistake about it. But I think the customer pain point becomes very important. That's why I told my team the best thing to do is engage. And engaging is only not at the CEO level, at the working level, and really instantly. So so that's how. Freda, in a brief way, how DNeX is managing and working. And of course, we work with people like, and I see KC there. Hi, KC, how are you this morning? We work like SCP and so on and so forth, and because we might not have the entire solution, like people to go to the custom, to go to the government, but we work with partners to come and deliver the solution. Sometimes we become in the forefront, sometimes we take the back seat. So at the end of the day, it's about serving the customer. But if you have a one hard fast rule and always want to be in this, in the old mode of operation, I think that's not going to take anymore. I mean, the government and the customer wants one single point of service and provide the entire suite of what we call solution. I think that's what the customer, and to me, I just have to spend a bit more time and listen to my customer, and that's what my plan is.
All right. Thanks, Tan Sri. Now, do we have any questions? If you do, raise your hand, and then after that, what the team will do is they will put you on camera. Okay, so don't be shy. Are there any questions? Are there any questions so far? I don't think you're all
shy. This is for power breakfast, So power breakfast, you have to have a lot of power.
Yeah, you got to have power. You've had your breakfast. The tiffin has been sent, so you should have the energy. If there are no questions at this point, I still have more questions, right? And you talk a lot about sustainability, right? But how do you think businesses can sustain and progress further in the next era? As we're talking about an endemic right now, this is going to be part of life. How are we going to sustain? I think that's a big question that I would have as well.
No, I think it's sustainability. First of all, we're talking about sustainability in terms of financial. I think financial, Freda, I think lessons learned during this COVID. When I was happy to be in Petronas, now in DNeX, it's about understanding your what we call your business profile and portfolio. No longer that you can rely on one customer, you cannot rely on just one sector alone. That's why in DNeX today we are a bit, we are diversifying. So you had two choices. If you want to go in one portfolio, not that it's wrong, but you really had then to deep dive to see what buckets of your customer that you have to, so you cannot just rely on one customer. Now you expand your customer portfolio. So that's one, possibility that you have to do. But people in DNeX, we have decided to not only expand our customer portfolio, we also now to diversify our business portfolio. We traditionally has been a trade facilitator. It's good, but it's not going to be sustainable in the long term. So that is why we now decided about a year ago when I came in to go into what we call this technology space. This is what we call the new frontiers that we're looking in. And Citra was a very what we call strategic effort. And of course we went to a bid process, went to Wikazana, and Alhamdulillah, God willing, God was on our side. We managed to won the bid amidst competitors from both local and international companies. But now when you are in that space, the whole, ball game has changed, for us in DNeX. I've spent a lot of days in Citra. Not that I look at opportunities in the wafer and semiconductor industry. I now want to open a space in the downstream, what we call finished product, And of course, my background in automotive. I'm looking at opportunities. So to answer your question, you as a business, you have to make a choice. Mm-hmm. If you want to stick to one particular portfolio, you have to then diversify your customer base. Right. Don't rely on one customer because it's going to be very dangerous. Right. For those who now have what we call a little bit more of the risk appetite, then it's about diversifying your business portfolio itself. That's what DNeX does. So we now are focused on three main work streams. We're not going to do anything more. What doesn't fit into our stream, we're going to divest because we cannot afford our resources to be distracted in terms of planning the plan. But having said that, Freda, as we speak, year on year, because the technology has changed so much, we also then have to continue to validate our business plan and our strategy. This is part and cycle of, business anyway. You do your annual AOP. But I think the revalidation today must be a bit more robust and much more frequent. The fact that because technology is changing so much. So that's one part of the sustainability. The other part that I think that maybe we can talk another platform is about the ESG, it's about environment, social responsibility. Today, we don't talk environment, in particular in DNeX when we have a polio and all, I guess. If you don't have a green agenda, sustainability agenda, people don't even want to invest in your stock market. People doesn't want to give you the bank doesn't want to give you a loan. So that is something that I think a lot of companies today are struggling. And we now are putting that, what we call ESG, footprint in terms of environment, the sustainability, in terms of so strong governance, to make sure that our portfolio, as we expand, are also managed by this framework. In many, particularly today, if you are in a public listed company, it's even more demanding, from investor point of view, and especially if you want to attract foreign investors into your portfolio, you need to have all these elements coming in. So when we talk about sustainability, I suggest we need to look at from a business point of view. Then also we have to look from this, sustainability into the environment, CSR, and of course the governance. And then I think we have this real picture of sustainability in any organization.
Right. Thank you, Tan Sri. And of course, I guess there are no questions. They're probably processing all this that you've been giving them and, mesmerized with what you've just said. Maybe we could just close off this session with any parting words of wisdom.
Well, I know. I mean, like I said, all of you are, have been much more experienced. And I think today, we have passed this issue about blame everything on COVID. Whether COVID, numbers doesn't mean, COVID, it is about COVID. Kan? So I think we've passed that stage. It's now putting the blueprint going forward. One of the things that I always reminded, in this incident, I realized this. We spend a lot of time, Freda, on coming out with the business plan. We spend a lot of time in reaching to our customers because that's a need, right? But I also feel that I also, in some extent, a bit more, inadequate. I don't spend enough time in understanding my own people in the organization because their demands and their skill set they need are much more different.
Right.
And just like you, they also going through a certain, stress in their own entire life. Their family has been affected. So I think, leaders like us in this, community, I really advise you to spend time in talking to your staff and to your leaders, engage with them and understand, And, in Petronas, when I was there, we have what we call this tell me session. Tell me session means sitting down and listen. Sometimes in Peda, it's good. It's easy to talk and communicate, but it's also not easy to listen. So I think we need to do and listen more to our staff. As much as we listen to our customers, I think sometimes we take our staff for granted. So Tan Sri Hassan Marakan, when he was the CEO of Petronas, used to remind all of us and say, Syed, when you are a leader, I think 40 or 60% of your time should be reading about how you manage your human capital,
right.
In terms of building up the talent pool and so on. So I think his words makes a lot of sense today in particular. So, because if we lose our asset, then how are we going to execute our plan? So I think the people issue in the company is something that we have to pay a lot more attention with. So that's my parting word. How to run the business. I think all of you are much more experienced than I am in managing your own business, and I'm not here to teach you anything. But I just don't want us to lose sight as we are pushing for profitability, and we want to push for a return to our shareholders and to our stakeholders. We must not lose sight that the real asset in the organization is always about the people. So really understand them, look at their needs, and make sure that you give them the right tools and guidance to do this. So that's my parting word. I saw a hand raised there by individual called KO. I don't know.
Thank you so much for your time, Tan Sri. And I like the way you ended it. It's about the people. And on that note, have a wonderful day, Tan Sri, and stay healthy.
Thank you very much for that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, TM1, for inviting me. Yeah, thanks.
Now we prepared another video for us to watch, and this is about the data center.
Our world has changed. We are connected more than ever. No borders separate us. Interconnectivity demands critical information to be delivered in real time. Digital transformation empowers government agencies, educates our future generations, and enables businesses to scale bigger and faster. The power of big data and analytics create a more efficient connection among businesses and enhances customer experience. It takes a trusted partner to aggregate data in real time, process information securely, and deliver the right solution professionally, on demand, on time. We are empowering big data right here. We are committed to delivering critical data unlike any other by enabling complete digital solutions. Seeking a world-class data center? Consider it done.
We've come to the end of our Power Breakfast, and before we close, please help me welcome Mr. Siong, Vice President of Cloud and AI, Huawei Technologies Malaysia Center in Berhad, for his remarks. Good morning, CS.
Morning, Freda.
Thank you for taking time this morning. I'm going to pass the stage on to you.
My honor. Thank you, Freda. Ladies and gentlemen, very good morning, Malaysia, and to all of you. I hope you and your loved ones are keeping well and safe. Today, I would like to send my congratulations to TM1. So together, TM1 and Huawei, we have created another significant milestone today for our collaboration since last year. So the reason why we are coming together for this cloud collaboration. So one of the reasons that is restricted to us is we are facing the data sovereignty issues. As all of us know, most of the major hyperscalers are actually located outside Malaysia. And today, we know that the data residency is one of the important subjects that we need to tackle. Secondly, we have also realized the lack of capabilities in building a hyperscaler public cloud in Malaysia. Thirdly, the cloudification is happening globally, particularly in the era of digital economy, but shortage of such a talent in Malaysia might have caused the transformation take place in a slower rate. So Huawei, as a global leader in the ICT sectors, we have the right place to nurturing the talents to embrace and thrive now and futures. So with this in mind, TM1, a Malaysia leading lifestyle and business provider, we team up with Huawei as a global ICT solution providers. In year 2020, last year, we developed Alpha Edge to serve as the Malaysia Sovereignty Cloud and the ASEAN Digital Hub. So in November last year, under the threats of global lockdown due to the pandemic, so borders are closed, restriction in most of the business activities. We managed to get 2 data centers up and running with all the cloud hardware and software ready to serve the nation. And at that time, it was indeed a world record in setting up 2 availability zones for such a hyperscaler cloud infrastructures. So we are very proud of such world record in setting up the cloud in Malaysia to start serving the purpose of a sovereignty cloud. And in December last year, we have also done knowledge transfer to more than 600 Telecom Malaysian staff. So this is in preparing the company to equip with sufficient knowledge and skills in cloud computing so that we are ready to serve more industrials and companies. So Alpha Edge, the position is to become an intelligent industry cloud platform. And there are a lot of great opportunities in the cloud innovation today and in the near future. The cloud has a transformational value to drive innovation. It is not only about choosing how to best consume the cloud computing power, but also leveraging on new and innovative pre-built features in the cloud, driving speed and agility to respond to the evolving business. So we believe that companies must embark on a transformation journey within their organization through an integrated cloud-first strategy. Alpha Edge would like to be the preferred choice for your cloud journey. While we are holding tight on 3 principles in delivering an end-to-end cloud platform for all businesses, we continue to innovate in AI and big data to provide the intelligence in your decision-making. We collaborate with partners and service providers to address specific key requirements and leveraging cutting-edge technologies like IoT, machine learning, blockchain, big data, analytics to offer smart services to form an inclusive ecosystem. So this ecosystem comprises partners, all of whom operate individually and with their own set of customers, products, solution and expertise, but also collaborate, share, and innovate alongside one another. So cloud integration and platform collaboration have made such sharing possible. And we ride on the exponential growth of data on edge, leverage on 5G connectivity to provide a future-ready and a flexible business environment caters to businesses at all levels. Cloud Alpha Edge is built for an open ecosystem environment to enable industry partners with more industrial-based solution of AI and cloud services. All this made possible with the synergy between TM1 and Huawei. And we are here today to create a long-term digital impact to Malaysia market. The future society is an intelligent world that everything is connected, everything is sensed, and everything is intelligent. And the underlying of such an intelligent world is the digital infrastructures that's powered by 5G, cloud, and AI. In short, it's an integration of connectivity and the cloud altogether. The bond of Cloud Alpha Edge is well complement the connectivity strength of Telecom Malaysia. It will act as an important digital platform to empower Malaysian government, industries, and businesses. And this platform is designed to be open for innovation. And we welcome all players of ecosystem to join us in this journey, a journey to bring digital innovation and values in the Industry 4.0 transformation, a journey to empower Malaysia to be the ASEAN digital hub. So ladies and gentlemen, today as a milestone launch of Cloud Alpha Edge as an intelligent industry cloud platform. So the proof of the pudding is in the eating. The Alpha Edge was launched in December last year, and to date, we have already helped companies transform their business digitally. The role of cloud is vital in helping businesses navigate current choppy waters and deliver on the promise of digital transformation. As more and more companies look out for a trusted cloud service provider, we are confident that Cloud Alpha Edge will be the preferred choice of cloud for Malaysia. And as of Huawei being in Malaysia for 20 years, we are committed to bring digital to every person, home, and organization for a fully connected, intelligent world. Thank you once again for joining us today. We hope that the takeaway obtained from this section will greatly benefit you. Terima kasih.
Thank you, CS. I'd like to just present, and we've come to the end of our session. On behalf of TM1, A gentle reminder, if you want to learn how you can achieve analytic success, scan the QR code and download the Malaysian Leaders Guide to becoming a data-driven organization. On behalf of TM1, thank you everyone for joining us this Power Packed Hour. I hope you've gotten some key insights during this session. We're glad to inform that all participants for today's Power Breakfast will be receiving the IDC's Unlocked Digital Transformation Assessment Report. UDX is a comprehensive self-assessment tool enabling organizations to evaluate their digital transformation position and comes to a personalized recommendation report from IDC. And you'll be receiving an email regarding this. Until we meet again, do stay safe and have a nice day ahead. Goodbye.